I'm so excited to talk to you today about in-person sales and how to streamline your client interactions because especially with the holidays and anything like a big pre-sale, you're going to start noticing little bits of what you're doing isn't working because you're spending a lot of time interacting with people, which isn't always a bad thing, but sometimes it can cause people either not to buy or maybe to leave your line at a vendor event because it's just taking too long. So I want to cover some really good tips today so that you know how to better utilize your time with in-person sales and hopefully make more sales in the process because it's just easier and better for everybody. Okay, let me double check. Okay, perfect. Looks like I can see the video in the group. So if you're in the group today, go ahead and throw your hashtag live. Let me know in the comments if you have questions about what we're talking about today, or if you have even some input of your own about how you've streamlined your in-person sales, then we can just create a good little video and comment section about this topic. If you view this on the replay, throw up your hashtag replay so I know you're here and you've seen the information. If we've never met before, I'm Melissa with Build a Better Bakery, and what we like to do is help other bakers start and grow their businesses one step at a time by simplifying the whole process and making sure that you can make income with less burnout because our industry is really big on burnout. And I want you to avoid that if at all possible because baking is so amazing and I'm still addicted to it after 2 decades. So I know it can be a really good career path for a lot of people. So I'm going to help you with that. Now, here at Build a Better Bakery, we have a theme for December called streamlining your client interactions, just like I talked about. So this week, we're going to talk about in-person sales. And then next week, I want to hit on online sales, just some tips on there too. We are going to be covering 3 main tips and a bonus tip today. Now, if you want to stay in the know about these lives, you can check the events in the group. I like to post, usually during the first week of the month, what we're going to be doing all month. This month, there's only 2 because I'm going to be on vacation. So this week and next week. You can also send me a friend request to Melissa Fryer on the Facebook platform where these are live. So I can accept your friend request and then you'll get automatic invites. If you aren't getting them for any reason and we are friends on the platform, please let me know so I can check on that. You can also hang out on the email list for direct replay links, but they're sent at a later date. So you may miss some relevant information that you would need to know right away if you use that, but you will get them sent right to you. So it's also an easy way to catch up on what's going on. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for replays on demand. It's just a big list of videos you can go through and search and decide which ones you want to watch. What's nice about that is I usually try to upload that pretty soon after this live. So if you don't want to be on the Facebook platform all the time, that's a really good opportunity as well. I like to go live every Thursday at 9 a.m. Mountain Time right here in this group and then share to YouTube after. And that just makes sure you're getting new, fresh content regularly to support your journey wherever you're at. If you're starting or if you've been doing this 10 years, I want to be able to help you if I can. Okay, so we're going to hop right in with 3 strategies that I implement to sell more and save time with my in-person sales. If you have questions about in-person sales or you have a strategy you want to just shout out, go ahead and throw those in the comments. All right, so the first is ease of paying you for your products. And this one might seem like duh, right? But I want to really hit this home because I love to buy from local vendors. I love to go to storefronts and try out bakeries in new cities. And I feel like I've been to a lot of them that, especially vendor events, maybe because they don't have a storefront set up with a point of sale system. I'm so confused on how to pay them. Which app is it? Where's the code? The code's on your phone, but your screen's broken, so I can't scan it. It's just kind of messy. So I want to mention this number 1. And since we're talking about in-person interactions, you'll need a simple way to direct people to pay you. And that can be very specific. You might have a very, only one way that you like to use. That's okay. Although it is limiting, just know that. So some people might not want to use that type of payment in the day and age when there's like 10 ways to pay people. You might want to expand just a little bit to help people out with that if you can. And this might even end up being having them, tap over to a website where they're purchasing on your website, even if they're grabbing from like an in-person event. You can do it that way. It's just a couple more buttons, and sometimes that's a little too time consuming. So consider something else if that's what you're planning on doing. And it will more than likely look like a good, reliable payment system, something that can be accessed easily by both you and the client. You can use printed QR codes, which is what I've landed on currently. And what that will do will help people directly move to your preferred payment apps. And it's a great way to help speed up the process and avoid having to carry a ton of change everywhere if you're trying to do business in different places. Note that there are almost always a payment transaction fee system for each app. It's going to vary. So you need to look at those and see how you feel about them. They are all very similar, but that is going to be another cost that's going to be taken out of what you're charging. And this may or may not deter you from using certain apps. So just take a look there. You can scan or type, or your client could scan the QR code. And then if you just have your handle, like the @ sign or whatever, the cash sign, whatever your handle is, the name of your account on that app, if you have those printed out, they can just scan and pay on the spot. And you don't even have to be there or see them do it. And that's what I used for my, it was an in-person porch pop-up, but it was one that was basically surveyed by camera. They could knock on my door if they needed something because I was inside working, but essentially people walked up, picked what they wanted, paid with the app, and left. And it worked out really well, actually, like really, really well. And I highly suggest it if you feel comfortable with that. Note that internet access is a must for this type of process. So if your internet is spotty or you're going to a place where you're not sure you're going to have great internet service, which happened to me plenty of times, always have an alternative option. Now, if you print out your QR code and that handle name, it's going to be a lot easier than trying to, I know people show me the phone with the QR code. It works for the most part, but there's been glare issues, crack in the screen issues. You have to then, move your phone around a bunch. People drop their phones on the ground, things like that. So I would suggest just getting it printed real quick instead of doing that if you can. I like to actually put them all on a page and with their codes and handles all listed out so people know what they are. And then I place that on the table in my payment area, which is kind of just an open area where people can set bags and purses down and get done what they need to get done. Just let them know if they're having trouble scanning because there's too many QR codes next to each other, they can just put their hand over the QR code that's scanning, just put something in front of it like a piece of paper or their hand, and it will only scan the one that's visible. So that's how they can use a sheet that's got multiple codes on it. Now, if you do want to take cash, really just trying to keep your prices in full dollar amounts is a lot easier. If you want to avoid the change, it's just going to cut down on time on the transaction of money and counting money. Quarters are pretty easy if you need to do it. So that's what I would suggest with that. And overall, you want just fast payment, like super fast payment. So people enjoy buying from you and they don't remember that it took forever to pay. They just remember getting the product and enjoying it. I've seen many bakers use something like Square or Clover as a point of sale system at storefronts and even vendor events. I do fine with my little Square contactless chip reader and a box of some bills and change. That's been working out well for me. Thousands of dollars in events, no problem so far. I do see some people bring in their actual point of sale if they've purchased it and with their whole computer system or their tablet system, and that works too. So whichever is best for you. I always suggest bringing a charging block with you in case you need to charge your phone or reader if you're, going to an event, something outside where you're not sure if there's going to be a way to plug in anything to charge. All right, number 2. Hey, Tamara, good morning. How are you? Number 2 is giving them the right info at the right time. And this one is there's a lot going on here. So I'm going to read through it. If you have questions, let me know. So making sure your customers know what's in stock, what's on the actual menu for that day, and available when browsing is key here. So we want to set expectations. And this includes having your prices visible, not some kind of surprise when they go to checkout. Having names and product descriptions, especially if you have different flavors or if you have like dietary friendly products, and having an up-to-date menu. So if you are sold out of something, it should say sold out. So if people are waiting in line for 10 minutes and they get up there and they're really ready to order something and it's been sold out for 2 hours, you just never marked it. So just keeping things up to date. It's going to manage their expectations so they're not going to be upset when they realize, oh, that thing has been sold out. And it avoids these long conversations about what you have left and descriptions of things, which if you're new and you don't have a lot of customers yet, that could be a good tactic to just get to know somebody. But if you're really trying to pump this out and people are getting frustrated because it's taking too long to get their products, then you're going to want to give them as much information as possible so they can self-select and they can decide, hey, I don't want that, or that's not going to work, or yes, I want 3. They have those answers already for you rather than having to drag it out as they ask questions about the products. That's just one of my biggest pet peeves that I've noticed especially at even storefronts, actually. They post what the product is, but they don't post kind of more information about it, and they don't post the prices, even in a case. To me, that doesn't make any sense, and it might not be up on the board either. So it's a surprise when I check out it. It makes me not trust them. So that's just, in a vendor tables as well, that's kind of common. I think that's more so because people aren't used to selling maybe as much. They might be new to vending. But really having everything, if everything has different prices and flavors, I think they need to be marked individually. Forcing me to ask about everything and then trying to keep it straight in my head while I'm browsing is just going to confuse me personally. And it's going to confuse other people, and confuse people don't buy. And that's not what we want. Now, I do understand that it might be kind of a sly sales tactic where people think, I'm going to start a conversation because they have to ask me what it is, or they need to ask me the price. Or maybe you want to be able to give discounts to people on the fly, which is probably not good in general. And for me personally, that's, again, it's just a turnoff. I don't really want a deal. I don't want you to like give me a wheelin' and dealin' offer. And I really don't want to have to remember anything on my own because I probably have kids and other stuff going on and timelines and all of that. So really just placing a price sticker or a tag on your item is going to save yourself a lot of hassle of likely losing a client who's ready to buy, but they just don't have the mental energy to deal with all of that. Now, an exception would be if maybe, let's say everything on your table is $5. You don't need to price everything because everything's $5. It's not going to be confusing for anyone because maybe you have a big sign that says that. Or let's say you have certain areas of the table or certain colors of packaging where there are different prices based on that. I could see where a simple sign that says green items are 5, red items are 11, etc. That might be okay. It's still more mental work and, paying attention for the client. So remember that. And it can be confusing because let's say items get moved around and they're really not color coded in any way. People are going to be trying to buy something they thought was $5, but it's actually 20 because some kid moved it during the vendor event, right? So that could, again, cause some hiccups in the movement of your line. Lastly, if you don't price things individually for whatever reason, and it comes time for checkout, it's possible you might accidentally charge the wrong amount, more or less, whatever. And if you have a helper, which is great, it can also get even more confusing if they don't know anything about what you're doing. They're just going to be throwing stuff through the register or through an app and might mischarge. And we don't want that. We want to try to do this as perfectly as possible when it comes to people's money. So really just that little bit of effort, printing out little stickers, ordering little stickers. It's, you can do it. It takes a few more minutes, but I think it's worth it to save that time. Now, outside of prices, I also suggest making a clear sign or menu that informs people of what categories of items that you're going to have instead of making them go through the product to find out. For me, it gets someone to walk up to the table, but let's say you were selling brownies and I'm allergic to chocolate. If I had seen a sign that said, brownies, I wouldn't have gone over there because I know I can't have them. But to have walked all the way over to the table to check it out and realize that's an expectation, right? To realize I can't even have any of this, that's going to give me not a great impression, right? So just telling people what's happening so that they can give a little, get a little idea of what's happening in your space before actually physically going over there and spending all their time and energy. This could be a standing sign or even a table sign, depending on what your space looks like or what your counter looks like in your shop. Some people, of course, do the signs on the walls behind them, electric signs with just little letters or handwriting, whatever feels good. Pro tip is if you are one of those bakers who has a long line for whatever reason, getting a standing sign with your payment QR code, if you have one, and information about the menu and pricing is going to be great to have that kind of back in halfway to the line so people in the back can see what's going on before getting all the way up to the front. Because what they're going to start doing, and this is what I start noticing at the last location we were at, I had huge lines. It was great, but it was a lot. What they started doing is they started looking at the menu, picking out what they wanted, looking at the table to see if I still had it, right? They would put in the QR code, get to the app, type in how much they owed me, and all they had to do was walk to the front, when it was their turn, grab the item, turn their phone to me, press send, and it was done. Like 15 seconds max. Hey, Melissa, how are you? Okay, bye. Very fast. It was great, honestly, for me too. It's versus 2 to 3 to 5 minutes dealing with them once they get up there, see what they have, what's the price, etc. So I really suggest that kind of midway line sign if you can get that set up. So you can use that wait time to sell more. And if you think about it, it's kind of like what fast food places do in a way, right? Or a coffee shop if you're in the drive-through. They have a sign with certain products before you even get to the main sign to say anything about what you want. They're already promoting some things to you that they think that you might like. All right, and number 3, yeah, for sure. Tomorrow, you mean the halfway line sign? Let me know what you mean by good idea. Okay, so number 3 is keeping your pre-sales or your large sales organized with a single ordering system. And again, if you're newer to this, I don't know if you're starting out that way, having a single ordering system, or if you're kind of all over the place, just getting what you can. That's where I was at. I was trying to take as many orders as possible, but with a system that wasn't really great for me years and years ago. And I moved to what I'm considering, or what I'm calling the single ordering system. And it's really one of the easiest ways when you think about a big pre-sale or some kind of large amount of a short time period where you're taking a lot of orders. The easiest way to mess it up is to tell people to order, allow people to order in a bunch of different ways, and then get confused on who ordered what, because it's hard to kind of like grab the information. And every time you have to copy and paste or retype or move information, there's human error that could happen. So what we want to do is we want to create a system where they put in their own information, you accept the information, and then you can move it into something like a spreadsheet without touching any of it. That would be the goal. And so after years of trying the pre-sales with something just like send me a DM, then to now a full-on website that has multiple information grabbing forms that allows me to basically not have to speak to them about the order unless there's a problem. I'm definitely going to say the website has been the best. So I'd suggest only accepting orders on one format, whatever that is for you. You might not be ready for a website, that's okay. And wherever you choose it to be, just make sure it's something that's accessible to everybody. So as an example, let's say you were only accepting orders over Facebook Messenger for some reason. If you do that, not everyone has Facebook. So there could be somebody who wants to place an order, but they can't, and then you're going to get like a text message from them because they can't, it's going to get strange. So you want to set it up in a way that everyone should be able to gain access. You can use some kind of jot form or similar to, not use a website, but still have a form where you can collect information. But ideally, you would want them to have to pay to submit the form so that their order's already paid. Because if they submit an order and they haven't paid you, now you have to contact them about payment, which is more of your time. So you want to kind of condense it all into one place. Now, personally, I do like to send a private text message the day before pickup just to make sure that they remember and just to make sure they know what to do when they get to my home. That just was best for me, and I think they appreciated it. That does take some time, but other than that, they took care of everything else. So that was really the only time I was touching base with them to make sure everything was good, because they'd already paid and placed the order. Now, not only, as I mentioned, do they put in all of their info, so there's no human error that you can perform there. They have secured the order with the payment. That's how they have to submit the form. So the payment submits the form. And then what's great is if it is in a website like the website I use on Squarespace, I can download this big sheet that contains all the spreadsheet information about their order. Every question I asked. Do you have any allergies? What day and time are you going to pick up? I give them some options. What flavors of X do you want? Do you want gift wrapping or not? Do you need X, Y, Z? And they answer it all for me. So when it throws it up in the spreadsheet, all I have to do is read down the categories to know, okay, this order 21 has this, this, and this. Order 22 has this, but not this. And it can help me fill my bags. It helps me buy my ingredients. It helps me bake the items out, making sure I can highlight things as I go. It helps me set up a pickup schedule for myself so I know when I need to be at the house. Just everything. It's great. So once the orders are picked up, you can also, like, I don't know how it is in everyone's website, but on mine, I can mark the order as fulfilled. So the website shows it as fulfilled. And I can also keep track of what's going out the door and to who, and it can even send auto emails saying, hey, thanks for your order, etc. Just to keep a email trail going if you need one. So that same process can be implemented with regular custom orders, or similar with something like that info form on a website or a job form the client has to submit. So even if they don't pay for something, they're still self-submitting answers to questions that you're asking them. And then you can review it and get back to them when it's time for you to work, right? Not at 3 a.m. when they send you the message because they're thinking about it. So you can get back to also your business hours when it's more of like a submitted form situation. Now, there are people who need stuff last minute. I get that that doesn't work for them. You likely won't be able to produce a product in under 24 hours anyway, for the most part. So if those are the type of orders you need, this might not work. But if you have kind of a 1 to 2, 3 week out ordering time frame, this should be fine. And it cuts down on so much app conversation that can get confusing. People delete messages, etc. And that's very time consuming. And it's also invasive to your personal life. So we're just trying to slim down the amount of time that you spend going back and forth. Yeah, halfway line sign is great. Yeah, and having that payment option too on there, not just the menu. So they're like prepped, ready to go for sure. Okay, number 4, this is your last bonus tip for today's info on streamlining your client interactions for in-person sales. We want to make sure that you have some online portal portions figured out so that even if you're having in-person sales, a lot of people try to communicate with us online first or before or after. And a lot of times people are finding us online and seeing that we're, selling XYZ that day. So setting up a welcome mat pin post is what I like to call it on your socials that fill clients in on the top questions that you get. How do I order? Where are you located? Do you make XYZ? What's a little bit about your story? What's your mission? Those kinds of things. And then setting up the FAQ section of your business page. So when they click chat, because they're about to ask you that question, they're about to send something to your inbox, it auto directs them to either that form that you want them to fill out, or even those automated FAQ questions that will pop up. So it'll say before you send us a message, do you want to know what our hours are? Do you want to know what our base cake price is? Things like that. You can input that info. So all I have to do is click on it and it'll show them. And I believe that you do, if I remember correctly, you do know when people are doing this. So if you wanted to follow up later, if they clicked on what are your hours and then didn't say anything, that's fine. They got their answer. You could follow up during business hours and say, hey, we're open. If you're heading in today, let me know. My name is Melissa. I'll be at the counter. Something like that, just to keep it personal if you'd like. It's definitely that auto FAQ. It's something that you need to utilize if you have not set that up on your business page on Facebook yet. All right, and then lastly, you can also set up an auto respond message in Messenger itself for your business that contains contact information, your address and phone if they need to, come to where you're at a certain time, etc. So people can get a hold of you in another way if you'd prefer to move the conversation off social, which many storefront owners do like to do because they're busy. They would prefer you just give them a call if you need something. So that's a way to do that. Now, I will give you a little caution because I have mine set up and I'm not going to take it down, but I will say, even if you've started a conversation with somebody, if they take like a day to respond, it's going to continue to send them that auto respond. I think that might be a little annoying, honestly, but it means too much to me to have it there. So that's really the only drawback I noticed of that so far. Okay. All right. So I'm not seeing any questions right now. I'm going to recap for you and head out for the day. We are conserving your time as much as possible as a business owner, and it's really your top resource is your time. So we must guard it at all costs. To do this, make buying your products so easy for your clients by offering fast and effective payment methods. 1 or 2 is great. If you can do more, that's great. Just make sure it's not confusing for you or them, and you should be good. Make sure you clearly inform clients early and often about what you have to offer, pricing, what's in stock, etc., to help them buy early, buy more, and manage your expectations. You're going to force yourself to keep sales and pre-sales organized. So don't just fly off the cuff on these. Keep them organized by using one source of order placement. I would suggest a client-filled form so that they can put all their information in, and then you can move it to a spreadsheet to help keep track of the product process from order to pickup. It's just so much easier. And it helps all those little notes that you might need, delivery addresses, text, phone numbers, things like that. It's just so much easier to have it in that format. And lastly, use as many auto respond and auto FAQ measures that you can get a hold of to save yourself from answering the very simple questions so many of us get on a daily basis. That's going to save you a lot of back and forth time. If you were curious about recommendations, I use Squarespace for my website. It's kind of like a plug and go type of website. So it's easier for people to use who really aren't that techie. They have complete templates to use too. So it really can be very plug and play if you're interested in that, or you can have someone build it for you either way. I use Flowdesk for email marketing, which is something we talked about a couple weeks ago. It helps with both online and in-person sales, so I didn't include it here, but it is another way to automate messages and menus and helping people learn how to order from you. That's an easy way to do it too. And then I use Square. So Squarespace is the website. The product Square, or their website, which is squareup.com, is what I use for my payment processes in person. I use, like I said, the chip reader, it's a thing that you have to purchase from them. The chip reader and the tap little white square. And then I also use apps. So I know some people don't like to do this, but the place I was at originally was very, it was very small. So it was really kind of like everyone knew each other. So I was very comfortable doing this. I use Zelle, Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. I accept all of them. And that's never been a problem for me in the past. If it ever is a problem, I will let you know, but that's what I accept. I do have referral codes for Squarespace, for Square, and for Flowdesk if you want to try them at discounts or freebies or whatever they're giving away. I have all those links on my website under the affiliates, which I think is linked at the very bottom, and also in the resources. I can send you the link on the DM if you want to see those. I like to keep those posted just in case so you can get your freebies before you sign up for new products. Now that's all today for the tips on streamlining your client interactions in person. There are others, of course, but these are the ones that I felt were most useful for today's discussion and most useful for those who are just getting started out. If you want to start implementing, I think that you can take any of those and get started with them today. If you missed it, I posted a few times and I sent a few emails out. We just launched the Cottage to Commercial Bakery course with some extra bonuses. Those are gone. The extra bonuses are gone, but it is still there and ready to help you conquer your storefront or production kitchen dreams. What's nice is I've actually embedded $250 worth of bonus mentorship and services inside the course itself. So even though you missed the launch goodies, you're still going to get the $250 in bonus and mentorship. That is inside the course when you enroll. You'll see it right in there, linked in there for you. We'd love to share this with you and be there to help you set up your successful storefront. They are challenging and every single one is so different. So that's why I truly suggest having a mentor to ask some questions to as you go, because it can be a lot, especially if you're doing it alone, or maybe you're doing it with a partner and neither of you really have a lot of experience with this. A lot of it's going to be very new to you. And I would prefer that you go in knowing a lot about what you're about to do, rather than just being kind of overwhelmed and stunned the whole way through, because likely you're not going to make as good of choices in that state. So let me know if you want the link to that and I can send it over. It's like enroll, get access basically right away once you enroll. You can also see it under the resources and courses on the website. Click on resources, you'll see online courses, click on that, and it'll show you all the courses we have. It's the one with the yellow background, you'll see. The website is buildabetterbakerynow.com if you want to check it out. And I'll be in here with you next Thursday to talk about how you can streamline your client interactions for online sales. It's going to be similar-ish style, but I want to mention some other things that are specifically for online to help people stay encouraged and actually press the buy button on your websites and things like that. Then we will be closed for the holidays because I'm going to be traveling and I'll be closed into 2024, a little bit into that first week. And I'm hoping to put together another series of $20 workshops for y'all, which I said I would get back into. It's been harder getting adjusted here. So I'm hoping once 2024 comes around, I can actually get a longer term calendar of those set up so you can sign up for them. And I definitely want to kick it off with something like, where do I start? Because I've added a lot of new people last week who just want to know, how do I get started? How do I get my questions answered? I would love to be able to offer those for you guys because I think it's easier to just talk through it sometimes rather than reading a blog post or even watching one of these videos sometimes. So I would love to do that. And I'll post about this first thing in 2024 to see what we can do and get set up long term so you know what to expect over maybe the first quarter or two of 2024. Okay. All right. I hope you all have the best day and I will see you next time. Bye.